What is up, everyone? I'm Rusty, your local laboratory maniac, and this is Lamman EDH. It's that time of year again, Thanksgiving. A time to give thanks, see your families, and eat 5,000 calories in one sitting with a lot of good food to boot. And that is the theme of this video, your guide to building a food-based deck in a unique way. Now, I know some of you are international viewers and don't celebrate Thanksgiving the same we do here in the States. So I want to invite you to sit at the table with me in this video for Thanksgiving dinner. We will go over 10 food-based commander decks, some stories, and the history of food in Magic the Gathering. Before I start, I wanted to say to each of you that I'm thankful for you this Thanksgiving. I've been around 6 months, and all the support I've gotten from my videos has been amazing. Just hit 1,000 subs yesterday. I enjoy doing what I do regardless of sub numbers. It's not about that. It's about the love of Magic the Gathering lore and deck building and bringing that to you. But I wanted to come out with an extra video just for you as a thanks, so enjoy. In 1993, the first cook in Magic the Gathering was referenced in the Alpha set. Do you know who it is? Now, say it with me. Now, this is a long name, okay? I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to try for you guys. It's Asmoranomardicadaistinaculdacar. Now, I probably butchered it. How do you pronounce it? I'm not sure. Say that 5 times fast. That's right. She was a chef in the pit. Now, the pit is located in the abyss, which turns out to be an actual plane. You may remember a hungry little fella named Lord of the Pit. She actually worked with him. Now, Lord of the Pit hired her because she was the best cook. By the way, Lord of the Pit in that story, his name was Vincent, which is the lamest demon name I've ever heard in my freaking life. So, she eventually wrote her own book, a cookbook called The Underworld Cookbook, which also got a card in 2019. Although she was first referenced in Granite Gargoyle. Now, I don't know how you make food out of a gargoyle. There's actually a few cards that reference her making food out of granite gargoyles, but that's her first reference there. And look at that name. Even back then, she had the same exact name. And they just like had their cat walk on a keyboard, and that's how they got that name. A deck I actually own in paper is my Asmore deck. It's a combo kind of centric. It's a lot of synergy in the deck. It borderlines on a few infinite combos, so it's one of my more competitive decks. Now, she actually doesn't have a mana cost, but she is considered a red and black. She's a legendary creature, human wizard. As long as you've discarded a card this turn, you may pay a red or a black to cast the spell. When she enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle. You sacrifice 2 foods, target creature deals 6 damage to itself, and it's a 3/3. So I guess her cooking's poisonous. I mean, I get makes sense because Granite Gargoyle, if you ate that, you would be going to the the ER. So it does 6 damage, and we'll be playing around a lot with that. So the Underworld Cookbook is a 1 mana artifact. You tap it, discard a card, create a food token. You pay for it, tap it, sacrifice the Underworld Cookbook. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. We're obviously going to be focusing on that first ability. So step one in this deck is to use faithless looting kind of effects, cycling effects as well, to discard so we can get our commander out since she requires a discard to cast. And then you can include stuff, some themed kind of stuff like Dying to Serve, which is a 3 mana black enchantment. Whenever you discard one or more cards, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Step two is get these 2 cards into your hand or graveyard. So, Oval Chase Daredevil is a 4 mana black human pilot. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Oval Chase Daredevil from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 4/2. Squee Goblin Nabob is a 3 mana red legendary creature goblin. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 1/1. So you get these guys back into your hand so you can discard them to the cookbook over and over. That's kind of the downside of this deck. It kind of destroys your own hand with the cookbook because all you're getting is a food in exchange for a card. Normally, you want to keep that card. but this allows you to get around that. Then you can use various combos to win, like Witch's Oven, Cauldron Familiar, Clock of Omens, and Academy Manufacture. This four card combo gives you infinite life, infinite clues, and infinite treasures. Let you board wipe everything because of your Asmore. So many good synergies. Now, there's a lot of tutoring in this deck. Keep that in mind. So you can get this combo out pretty easily. Same situation with Pitiless Plunderer that gets you infinite tokens. Recurring the cookbook will be crucial since it's like our secret commander of the deck. Here are some fun ways to do it. You got Goblin Welder and Goblin Engineer. They both sacrifice an artifact you control to get it from your graveyard. And obviously, we can sacrifice our food, so our goblins are literally eating our foods to get the cookbook back. Years after Asmore was first mentioned in the Alpha set, Throne of Eldraine was released, a set based around fairy tales. Wizards of the Coast came up with the concept of food, and they made 28 cards involving it for the set. They made foods artifacts, which never really made sense to me. An animal like a pig is alive, it's not an artifact, but if it dies, it becomes an artifact. It's supposed to represent like eating items in a video game that heal your health. Life is your health in magic, so it makes sense. Anyway, so it's a token artifact food. You pay two, tap it, sacrifice this artifact, you gain three life. So it's pretty simple, pretty good, and it really fits with the flavor. No pun intended. Funny story for Eldraine. Now, there's a trailer that they made. It's a really interesting one, but it's about 3 minutes long, so I can't show it in this slide. But at the end of the presentation here, at the very after the very last deck, before my outro, I will put the trailer just so you can watch it so you don't have to search it out. But basically, it tells the story of Syr Ginger, how she came to be, and then a huge fight breaking out, resulting in the death of her lover. Now, Garuk was the one that ended up eating her lover. It was kind of weird. He was just beating the crap out of all these knights, all these bakers. I don't know why. It never explains it. It's a really weird story. And that is who our second deck is going to be based around Syr Ginger. She's Syr Ginger the Meal Ender. She's a 2 mana legendary artifact creature, Food Knight. Syr Ginger the Meal Ender has Trample, Hexproof, and Haste as long as an opponent controls a Planeswalker. Play this against your opponent's Super Friends deck, see what happens. Then, whenever another artifact you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on her and scry. Then you can pay two, tapper, sacker, you gain life equal to her power, and she's a 3/1. The theme of this deck will be, no pun intended again, is an eggs theme. I have talked about the idea of eggs in the past. It's essentially sacrificing small artifacts for incremental value. This is a challenge in colorless, of course. Now, I was working on a build for this, and I came across a post on Moxfield from Eidolon of Autumn. He built a fun, unique, and probably one of the top five most interesting color decks I've ever seen. One way I think this will be a viable strategy is for all of our eggs to draw cards, have card reduction, for example, Foundry Inspector, which makes artifacts cost one less. And Chromatic Sphere, obviously, is an example of egg that draws a card. And then we're going to have a lot of graveyard recursion. So as we're sacrificing them, we're getting other things back. And hopefully it will snowball into getting a few key cards. Here are two of the cards you probably want to get. Smelting Vat, which is a 4 mana artifact. You pay one, tap it, sacrifice another artifact. Reveal the top 8 cards of your library. Put up to 2 non-creature artifact cards with total mana value less than or equal to the sacrifice artifact's mana value from among them onto the battlefield, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So you want to do this with like a 2 or 3 CMC artifact. That way you get 2 eggs for it. Then Alhammarat's Archive is probably one of the best ones we can get. It's a 5 mana legendary artifact. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. If you would draw a card, except the first one you draw during each of your draw steps, you draw 2 cards instead. So every egg that you pop, you get 2 more draws. Now, if you want to pause the screen and read some of these combos that they had in their deck, you totally can. I would say that a lot of these are pretty well known to the EDH community. You got infinite mana, infinite card draw, infinite +1/+1 counters, infinite scrying, storm, draw a bunch of cards. It's insane how much you can get involved with this deck. And the cool thing about it is most of your deck is just drawing. I think your turns might take a fair amount of time unless you're really quick with it, but I think you'll draw a combo pretty quickly. And now, if you don't want to go the combo route, you don't have to. There's other options like there's stuff that says whenever you cast a color spell, do X, Y, and Z, like Glaring Flesh Raker gets you a colorless Eldrazi, a 0/1. Then you got stuff that like recurs a lot of your artifacts. You want to put a lot of these in the deck, and you'll be sacrificing that to the vat and all that stuff. It's a 3 mana artifact creature bird flying. When it dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, and it's a 1/1. The first printing of a food-based card outside of Eldraine was Genome. He was a commander for one of the precons. He is the master chef. He's a troll warlock at the Witherbloom College of Strixhaven. It is on Arcavios the Plane. Anyone who thinks a troll can't be a great chef has never met him. He combines a whole bunch of ingredients. All the students want to chill at his place. They trek through Sedgemoor, they trek through swamps just to get his food. The only complaint he ever received is that his portions are unreasonably large. Now there are a few cards here and there that included food, but eventually R&D finally realized that food mechanics should be deciduous. Now that's a term they use to refer to keywords, keyword actions, or other mechanics that aren't evergreen. Evergreen meaning set specific. They use a lot of different words that no one else uses. Now Modern Horizon had a bunch of food sub-themes in it as well. A total of 7 cards were based around food. Now, this produced one of the best cards called Academy Manufacture. Now, I probably don't need to go over this, but if you make a food, you actually make a clue, food, and treasure token instead, which is pretty nice. Asmore also came out in this set. The next big set that had a heavy food theme was Lord of the Rings, with 35 cards related to it. It also had its own commander deck, which is the second precon with a food theme that you could buy. For a Lord of the Rings food deck, we're actually going to be using actual food, not tokens, if that kind of makes sense. Here are 2 examples of what I mean. Carrot Cake, which is a 2 mana white artifact food. Whenever it enters or when you sacrifice it, create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token, inscribe 1. Then you pay 2, tap it, sacrifice Carrot Cake, you gain 3 life. Heaped Harvest does something similar. It's a 3 mana green artifact food. When it enters and when you sacrifice it, you may search your library for a basic land card and put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Then you pay 2, tap it, sack it, you gain 3 life. So they both are kind of doing things as they ETB and as their sacrifice, and you'll see that in actually food based cards, not just tokens. Now, there's actually a total of 16 foods that are in Abzan colors that you can put into this deck, and that's plenty to constantly reuse. For commanders, we actually have partner commanders, Pippin and Mary. Now, Pippin's a 2 mana Golgari legendary creature, Halfling Advisor. Partners with Mary, of course, and you pay 1, tap it, create a food token. And you tap it, sacrifice 4 foods. Other creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery, and it's a 2/2. Then Mary is a 3 mana Selesnya legendary creature, Halfling Advisor, as partner with Pippin. Whenever one or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. This ability only triggers once each turn, and it's a 1/4. So how are we going to cook this meal? Well, first, we got to preheat the oven and dump all our ingredients into the pot. We are going to get all the food into our graveyard from our library. Now, how are we going to do this? There's about 10 entomb style effects that you can add. Entomb meaning you search your library for a card put into your graveyard. Now, you could also just cast your food and then sacrifice it while it's on the field, so keep that in mind. Now, let's just go over a few of these. Entomb, obviously, it's a 1 mana instant. You'll search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, and then shuffle. Corpse Connoisseur does the same thing, but it's only for a creature, which we have multiple food creatures like Ginger Brew and Syr Ginger. Final Parting tutors one card to your hand and then one in your graveyard. Disciple of Gix actually entombs three artifacts into your graveyard. Living Dirge entombs a card, then returns up to two creatures from your graveyard with total CMC 4 or less. Then Vile Entomber is Entomb on a stick. It ETBs to entomb a card to your graveyard. Auric Lore Mage taps the Entomb a card, and if it's an instant or sorcery, it boosts him, but it's obviously going to be food. Unmarked Grave entombs a non legendary card. We just so happen to be in the best color set for recursion. So, yeah, we only have 16 foods, but we're going to be constantly getting them back. We're, of course, going to make some token foods, but we're really just focusing on sacrificing these foods, getting them back, sacrificing these foods, getting them back, getting more tokens, getting more lands, or what have you. Now, Tashar, Ancestor's Apostle, does a few things. And whenever you cast a historic spell, you return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now, that can get your commanders. Whenever you cast a food, you just get your commanders back. That's great. Or you can get back your Ginger Brew, your Syr Ginger, all the creature food, you can get those back as well. And then we're going to have about 5 or 6, I think I threw in the deck, cards that get a lot of artifacts at once. Brilliant Restoration is an example. It's a 7 mana white sorcery. Return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So as we're dumping food into our pot, we get to stir them up and bring them back into our bowl, so to speak. A few other ways you can do something like Conduit of Worlds. There's a few cards that actually do something similar. It essentially lets you play stuff from your graveyard. That's going to be amazing. We sack our food, then we can recast it. And then since we're sacrificing our foods and all that a bunch, we can use Second Sunrise effects. It's a 3 mana white instant. Each player returns to play all artifacts, creatures, enchantments, and land cards that were put there from his or her graveyard from play this turn. For win cons, there's various ones you can do. I went the token and also overrun style route. You can also go the life gain route where you're doing like Aetherflux Reservoir or stuff that says when you gain life, it drains your opponent. I didn't go that route, but you could. For example, I went the token route with Amuzu, and our commander also does it. Swarm's Hunger. It's a 5 mana Golgari legendary creature, insect shaman as flying and menace. Other insects you control have menace, and whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you may create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among those cards. Do this only once each turn, and it's a 3/3, so it's making huge insect tokens. And the one card that came in an Eldraine set is Knight of Sweet's Revenge. It's something I actually talked about in a previous video. It makes it so our food are mana dorks, but it also lets us pay 7 to sacrifice this enchantment. Creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of foods you control activate only as a sorcery. So that'll hopefully boost our creatures huge after we make a token army. And of course, you can do the greater good displaced dinosaur situation. So our foods will come in as 7/7s, 7/7 dinosaurs if we have displaced dinosaurs out. Then we can sacrifice them to greater good, draw 7, discard 3. Then we play something to get food back, do it again, and do it again. Now, a quick brief mention of another Lords of the Ring themed deck that's very interesting and unique strategy, actually mentioned in last week's video, so I won't go on about it. It uses Peregrine Took, who is a 3 mana green legendary creature halfling citizen. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food token are created instead. Then you can sacrifice 3 foods to draw a card as a 2/3. That's really good in any of these food decks, by the way. It doesn't have to be the commander, but it is for this one. And it's essentially using Slime Against Humanity, which makes a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. Then you put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 2 plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are oozes or are named Slime Against Humanity. A deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity. So essentially, Peregrine Took's ability will say, When we cast the slime against humanity, we'll make a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample, and then it'll come in with those counters on it, those +1/+1 counters, and we'll also make a food that comes in with +1/+1 counters. Now that's useless essentially to most people, but we're gonna build this deck so we can animate our food. That way, whatever we animate it to, it'll also be boosted by those counters. For example, Tough Cookie is a 2 mana green artifact creature, food golem. When it ETBs, create a food, then you can pay 3, target non creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature until end of turn. You can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, you gain 3 life, and it's a 2/2. Of course, he is a food, so he sacrifices them. And just by the way, since look at its type line, it says artifact creature, food golem. Now, food is not a creature type. Don't get that confused. It's similar to how the shrine creatures work. It's not a creature type. You can't name it with like conspiracy, for example, or masculine nexus. So keep that in mind. That kind of like threw me because I was actually building a deck and that ruling came up. Now, you can also use Karn's Silver Golem. He pays 1 to animate a food. It would be a 0/0, but it will have counters on it, so it won't automatically die. We revisit Eldraine with 25 brand new food based cards. One legendary creature, Bernard, is a human artificer chef and a creator of food golems, including the knight Syr Ginger. He wears clothes and tools that make him appear a mix of a chef and an artificer. I don't think that's Syr Ginger in the picture here, but you can see he's literally creating life by baking things. As a kid, I was terrified by toys that would come to life and be mad at me, so I always treated them nicely. I can't imagine what little lab man would do if he thought his food was not only alive, but had families, and in Sir Ginger's case, was a widow. Like, you're not going to eat that food. This Bernard guy is essentially one of the scariest characters in all of Magic the Gathering. Bernard Ginger Sculptor is a 4 mana Bant legendary creature, human artificer. Each creature you control that's a food or a golem gets +2/+2 and has trample. Whenever another non token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, you create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 food golem artifact creature in addition to its other types, and it has pay 2, tap it, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. So, what are we going to do with him? We are going to be doing a Bant Planeswalker Aristocrat style deck theme. Now, we're going to be using Gideons. However, Bernard in the lore got essentially rickety wrecked by Garuk. So he hates planeswalkers. I'm sure his Sir Ginger hates planeswalkers. So we're going to essentially be sacrificing our planeswalkers, bringing them back, making them work for us, and then sacrificing them for life. I love how this deck just ended up being the perfect lore based deck. So Gideons actually animate themselves into creatures. And oh boy, can I talk about animating planeswalkers into creatures for hours. I've actually built a minimum of 10 decks based around this idea. Uh, I also have a Patreon video about it that I talk like 20 minutes on just one deck. I can go on and on about it. But for this one, animating will actually be pretty easy because Gideon just inherently does it himself. For example, Gideon Champion of Justice, being one of the best, has a 0 ability that animates him to having total power and toughness equal to his loyalty. And then +1, he gets a loyalty counter for each creature target opponent controls. So if they have 10 creatures, he gets 11 counters on him. That's pretty good. He's going to grow in a huge, he's going to be a huge card. And then you can do stuff like Creator Good, as I mentioned earlier, to sacrifice them. There's a lot of sacrifice outlets that relate to power. There's gaining life ones, there's drawing ones, there's removal ones. You pick, you just sacrifice them after you get them huge and then benefit from that. Of course, if you want Gideon to be safe from attacks, but still use all of its abilities so you can ultimate to get that -15, you can mutate on top of him. And you can only do that once he recurs from the graveyard thanks to your commander. Because his 0 ability actually makes him a human soldier. And for whatever reason, the way Ikoria worked out is you can't mutate onto humans. I guess humans can't mutate. They've never heard of the X-Men. Now, if you guys are super interested, let me know. I can actually make a full video detailing all the crazy rules that come with animating and mutating planeswalkers. I've done a lot of research. I'm sure the Ask Judges forum hates me for all the questions I've asked, but I wanted to make sure I know what I was doing when I was playing such a unique deck. Anyway, here's a proxy of what that Gideon will look like if you animate it with Bernard. Same name, of course, but it's a legendary planeswalker, artifact creature, food golem Gideon. Yeah, that's a lot. He is a 1/1, has all the same abilities, of course, but he's a 1/1, and he starts at 4 loyalty. There's a lot of interesting interactions, but I just love the art for this. I literally Googled gingerbread knight or soldier, and this popped up. The next set to include food is actually another Universe Beyond set, Doctor Who. There were a few legends actually that deal with food directly, but I like these two. You got Jenny, Flint, and you got Madame Vastra. Now, Jenny is a 3 mana is it legendary creature human detective. It partners obviously with Madame Vastra, and then it has first strike training. And whenever you sacrifice a clue or a food, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control, and it's a 2/2. Now, if you don't know what training is, it says whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So it works really well with the partner because the partner's a 3/3 and this is a 2/2. So if they attack together, it'll automatically get boosted. And her partner is a 4 mana Simic legendary creature, Lizard Detective. Partners with Jenny. And then she has to be blocked if able. And whenever a creature dealt damage by her, this turn dies. Create a clue token and a food token. Jennifer Flint, more commonly known as Jenny Flint, was the human maid and wife of Madame Vastra, operating from London in the late 19th century, and they performed a variety of investigations alongside their sidekick, which is their butler Strax. Now, was he the butler to the maid? How does that work out? Like, or did Madame Vastra hire both them, then marry her, but kept her on the payroll? How does any of this? How does this relationship work? I need Doctor Who fans to let me know in the comments what the heck's going on here. Now, Madame Vastra is a character, obviously from Doctor Who, that had a history of eating her enemies, though she has since become a detective who has more civil career. So she doesn't eat people, but it kind of makes sense why she makes food tokens when she's blocked and kills something because she literally is eating them. Now, the 11th Doctor encountered her when she was eating people, and he later arranged for her to become a detective in Victorian London. So she wasn't even from that area. He was just like, plop, I'm going to put this man eating lizard in the middle of Victoria, London. Nothing bad will happen. So I built this deck essentially like an equipment based deck, focusing around two keywords, Death Touch and First Strike. Since our commander innately has that lure effect, where it has to be blocked by one creature, you can essentially kill that creature really quick. If they have a 10/10, you use Death Touch and First Strike. Oh, it doesn't matter how big, they're automatically dead. Quintus Spike is a 3 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch, and when equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses their life rounded up. And then Sure Strike Trident is a 2 mana artifact equipment. The biggest thing is the equipped creature has First Strike, but you can also tap it, unattach this equipment. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target player. So if your creature gets huge, which it will in an equipment deck, you essentially ping your opponents. And if you really wanted to, you could actually put in like a trample also equipments that give trample, because trample and death touch work in an interesting way, just like death touch and first strike. Basically, trample works is you have to assign lethal combat damage to the creature first, and then the rest tramples over. Well, if you have death touch, one damage is lethal. So if they block, if your creature is a 10/10, theirs is a 10/10, you attack, they block, you have death touch and trample. One damage goes to their creature, nine goes to their face. So it's an interesting rule mechanic. And by the way, I mentioned this before, but trample is a May ability that does come up sometimes. I had that come up once, and I was like, wait a minute, wait, it says May. Actually, I'm not going to have it hit you. Plenty of equipments care about being blocked. There's some that draw cards, there's some that act as removal. Borrow Blade is a 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. And when equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, that creature loses all abilities until end of turn. And it's equipped 1. They have an indestructible card. Who cares? They block with it. It's going to lose that indestructibility. And then Trailblazer's Torch is an interesting one. It's a 4 mana equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative, which everyone loves when initiative starts because it's like a mini game within the game. And then whenever equipped creature becomes blocked, it deals 2 damage to each creature blocking it. So if you place a lure effect where they have to block with everything and have death touch, you essentially board wipe them. And on this slide, I just included a picture of Lure. I don't think I need to really explain it much, but it does say all creatures able to block do so. Your commander only requires them to block with 1. And then Tangle Asp is one of my favorites. I don't know why. It's just such a small, perfect creature. It's a 2 mana green snake. When it blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, destroy that creature at the end of combat. It's a 1/2. So similar situation with less pieces. You put a lure on Tangle Asp, attack. They have to block with everything that's untapped. And by the way, you could throw in some untapped shenanigans in here if you want. That it's very useful. What's that one card? Jangling Automaton. When it attacks, everything your opponent, all creatures your opponents control, untap. It's pretty funny. No one plays it but me, or any really lure effects probably play it, but that's about it. But Tinglass in that combo is pretty nice. I have a Bant banding lure deck in paper and I love it. However, I don't get to use any red cards in it, so I wanted to explore that with this deck. You got stuff like these here. There was like a series of like 6 or 7 cards called Laccolith. Like there's the Wealth, there's the Rig, there's a few other cards where essentially if your creature is blocked, it fogs damage that creature will do and actually does that damage to something else. So if they block with a 1/1 and we want to actually hit their other creature, we can do that. And that's pretty cool. The Whelp does that. It says when it becomes blocked, you may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature. If you do, it deals no combat damage this turn. It's a 1/1. And then Lycolith Rig is an enchantment aura that essentially you could put on your commander. So if they block with something you don't want to kill, because it only forces one block, it doesn't force them to block everything. You can essentially make this pseudo removal. You can target any other creatures, or it doesn't even say one of their creatures. You can have it target any creature on the field. There's lots of good equipment that say do XYZ when a creature dies or where an artifact is put into the graveyard, blah, blah, blah. Tarian's Soul Cleaver is an example of this. It gives the equipped creature vigilance. And whenever another artifact or creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. And it's equipped too. So every time we sacrifice a clue or food, bing, bada, boom, we get +1/+1 counters. And then Fangren Marauder is a card I've talked about a few times on this channel. I really like it in food decks. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may gain 5 life. Now, obviously, this works for our food. It makes us actually gain 8 instead of 3. And it works for our clues. It makes our clues say gain 5 life, draw the card. That's pretty good for 2 mana. Also, if you're playing any removal for your opponents, like if you play a Vandal Blast, it does count their artifacts as well, not just your own. The next set to have a decent number of food cards was the Fallout set. It takes place in a post nuclear war based on a video game. Now, remnants of the world still remain, the old world, and it was food based products that were seen everywhere, such as Nuka Cola. There was the soda, there was the bottles, there's a bunch of stuff. Now, they released 4 decks for the Fallout set. One had a character in it, although it wasn't completely food themed, had a character that was obsessed with food. She actually lived in Nuka World, a theme park based around the favorite beverage. She collected the drinks, she went to all the vending machines. She was essentially a nerd hobbyist that cared about cola. You see that some people collect Coca Cola, and there's not even a nuclear war right now. And I can relate to collecting things. And that character is Sierra, Nuka's biggest fan. At first glance, this commander kind of seems weak, but it does something cool, and if you build around it, it's going to be very powerful. It's a 4 mana, white, legendary creature, human citizen. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, put a quest counter on Sierra Nuka's biggest fan and create a food token. Whenever you sacrifice a food, target creature you control gets plus X until end of turn, where X is the number of quest counters on her, and it's a 3/4. So that instant speed boosting ability is pretty good. It's like a giant growth effect. You know that's pretty powerful typically. And it says target creature you control, so you can actually make this into a Voltron strategy if you want. But the goal of this deck will be to hit our opponents, hopefully three at once, and then bang bada boom, we're going to put so many quest counters on here, make a bunch of food, gain a bunch of life, boost a bunch of creatures. Although she seems kind of weak, that boosting ability is going to be really powerful because our food are essentially going to say pay two, sack it, gain three life, and boost something five, six, seven power. So we're also going to be playing around a little bit. It's not a huge theme in the deck, but quest counters. I've never seen someone actually work with quest counters. So obviously in mono white, we're a little limited. But you got cards even in the Fallout set that cared about quest counters. Yes Man, Personal, Securitron was a 3 mana white legendary artifact creature robot. You tap it, target opponent gains control of Yes Man. When they do, you draw two cards and put a quest counter on Yes Man, activate only during your turn. Then, when Yes Man leaves the battlefield, its owner creates a tapped 1/1 white soldier creature token for each quest counter on it, and it's a 2/2. So, we're going to have ways to reuse those quest counters and maybe put them on our commander. And if you've never played a commander game where someone drops Luminarch Ascension on turn two, count yourself lucky because they will almost always get a bunch of angels. It's a 2 mana white enchantment. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if you didn't lose life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Luminarch Ascension. Then you pay to create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Activate only if Luminarch Ascension has 4 or more quest counters on it. So that's going to be pretty powerful if we can get it off. And like I said, not a huge theme with the quest counters. There's just not enough cards in mono white to do it, but it is something to note. Now, let's say your commander gets up there on quest counters. Let's say they have 4 or 5 and they happen to get hit and now they're dead. You can have something like Resourceful Defense out. This will let you reuse your quest counters. It's a 3 mana white enchantment. Whenever a permanent you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on target permanent you control. Then you can pay 5 to move the counters around to another target permanent you control. Now that's going to be pretty powerful because let's say you have your Luminarch Ascension out at 0 counters, your commander dies, you can move all her quest counters to Luminarch Ascension. Same thing, if Luminarch Ascension has 4 out, it goes away. You can move it on to your commander or Yes Man or whatever. Nesting Grounds does this, but it does one at a time, and you have to pay one to move it around and only at sorcery speed. So we need unblockable creatures. Normally that's like a Demir thing, but we're going to have plenty of options to do that. Ginger Brew is a 1 mana artifact creature food golem. Has haste. You pay one, it can't be blocked except by creatures with haste, and pay two, tap it, sacrifice it, gain 3 life. It's a 1/1. So it's a food that we can use if we have to sacrifice to boost one of our creatures, but it's also unblockable. And now, in that same vein of unblockability, you got protection. Of course, if a creature you control has protection from a color of a creature your opponents control, they can't block you. Also, it protects your commander. We're going to have a lot of protection for our commander because it's going to be a target once it starts getting big enough. So, Mother of Runes is going to be perfect. If they have all black creatures or all blue creatures, you tap her, give your creature protection from that, and it won't be able to be blocked. And then we get a trigger for our commander. Another theme of this deck, Double Strike, because our commander's triggered ability occurs when we do damage to an opponent. So Double Strike gets double the triggers. The ideal world would be to have 3 creatures that aren't blockable by our opponents. Swing at them, give them double strike somehow, and get 6 triggers per turn. That's going to make it so we can boost something +6, +12, +18, depending on how many turns we could keep that up, and we can easily close out the game, especially if they have double strike. Even if we only have like 3 quest counters on our commander, we can boost something +3, and if it's a 1/1, it's a 4/4, then it hits for 8. That's pretty powerful too. Our commander will be making plenty of food tokens, of course, but also you got 28 cards in mono white colors that make food. Now, if you ask Sierra, the best card that makes food in this game is Nuka Cola Vending Machine. It's a 3 mana artifact. You pay one, tap it, create a food token. And whenever you sacrifice a food, you create a tapped treasure token. So as we're sacrificing those food to boost our creatures, we're going to get mana ramp from it. And then you got stuff like Rosie Cotton of South Lane. It's a 3 mana legendary creature, halfling peasant. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. Whenever you create a token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie, and it's a 1/1. It's a cool representation of you're getting boosted by the food that you're eating as well as healed. So there's a lot of food cards that say when you sacrifice a food, do XYZ, but it doesn't really say when you sacrifice a food to its own effect. So you can sacrifice it in many different ways. Arcbound Ravager is a common one people use. It's a 2 mana artifact creature beast. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Arcbound Ravager. And then that's modular one. So all of its when it dies, all of its counters can be put on something else. And then, of course, we're going to be also doing proliferate. We can proliferate the quest counters, proliferate one +1/+1 counters, so and so on and so on. Filigree Vector is a 4 mana white artifact creature Phyrexian construct. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of any number of target creatures and a charge counter on each of any number of target artifacts. You can pay one, tap it, sacrifice another artifact to proliferate. So it's sacrificing the food, which will trigger our commander, but it's also then proliferating. So for every food we sacrifice with him, she gets 2 quest counters. Magic came out with a keyword ability related to food, and that is Forage. It states that to forage, you can exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food, and then you get some ability. Like Camellia, the Seed Miser, you pay 2 to and forage to put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. Now, an interesting thing when I'm doing research on this video, you know how when you make a clue, they call it investigate. They actually tried that with food, but they couldn't come up with something. They didn't want cook. Mark Rosewater specifically said he didn't want cook. He didn't think it'd be translatable. Like for example, how is Nuka Cola Machine going to cook something? It's a beverage producer. So they ended up just not doing one, but they did consider it. All forge abilities were in Bloomburrow, and it also related to squirrels typically, which had Golgari colors. Here's the 7 ones that can do it. So if we're going to forage and win the game. And you can actually slap it in a Yigra Eater of All deck. Now, Yigra was a cosmic bean on Bloomburrow. It was a whole thing. They were trying to get an egg that was stolen. They were trying to get it back. So all the cosmic entities were essentially just rampaging through people. It was a whole thing. Now, Ygritte, Eater of All, is a really powerful commander. It's a 5 mana Golgari legendary creature, elemental cat. Has ward, sacrifice a food. Other creatures are food artifacts in addition to their other types and have 2 tap it, sacrifice this permanent, gain 3 life. And whenever a food is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Ygritte, Eater of All, and it's a 6/6. So this guy is really powerful. He combos with a ham sandwich. Now, of course, I have a video based around this deck, goes into detail for like 15 minutes talking about the combos, talking about what kind of strategies you want to use for it. It is definitely one of my sillier videos. I called it Dino Chicken Nuggies deck because I use Displaced Dinosaur, and obviously Ygritte, Eater of All, makes all creatures artifacts, so they enter as 7/7s. Now, when I say Giga combos with a lot, I mean it. There's over 1,500 combos you can throw in here. So if you're a combo player, this is definitely, and this has all the perfect colors. You can tutor out literally anything in this tech. So you definitely made in the shade if you're a combo player. But specifically for this deck, we want to combo with Camellia and the Forge ability. Now, you can have Ashnod's Altar, Altar of Dementia, Phyrexian Altar, all the altars. If you see them on the battlefield, you might as well target the crap out of them because they're just combo pieces. I really never see someone use Ashnod's Altar for genuine mana ramp or Altar of Dementia to just mill someone 1 or 2 cards. It's always infinite combo central. And then you can use Carrion Feeder. He gets infinite +1/+1 counters, or Grinding Station that does infinite damage with those two cards. So you can add any of these plus Camellia plus Yigra and Bang Bada Boom, you're made in the shade. Now, if you're not a combo player, that's totally cool. You don't want to go infinite, you just want to do it casual. Displaced Dinosaur is still a fun way to go because all your creatures are foods. So if you play a Land of War Elf, for example, bang bada boom, it's a 7/7 Land of War Elf for 1 mana. You can't beat that. Now, Magic the Gathering gave us a few more crumbs of food in the next few sets, but then it came back big with the most recent set, the Avatar. I talked about the Cabbage Merchant before, who is probably one of the best food commanders in the set, in my opinion. But there are other ones like Iroh Tea Master who can make a great commander. Now, Iroh Tea Master is a 3 mana Boros legendary creature, human citizen ally. When he enters, create a food token. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target opponent gain control of target permanent you control. When you do, you gain a 1/1 white ally creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each permanent you own that your opponents control, and it's a 2/2. So it's a donate deck that makes food. Obviously, the flavor of this is amazing because he works at a tea shop. He's literally giving other people tea. Before he came out, I was actually playing around with an idea where you donate specific artifacts. Now, I know when people see donate, they automatically go to the bad gifts strategy where it kind of it's almost like stacks when you give your opponent something they won't be able to play with. There's a bunch of examples for that, but I want more of a benefit them because that's more what Iroh is. If you don't know the lore behind Iroh, he was like this evil general for the Fire Nation that like won a lot of battles, blah blah blah. But eventually his son passes away in one of those battles. He learns that this is not the way of the world should be, and then he just becomes a chill dude. He loves tea, obviously. He helps his nephew go from a path of revenge and to go kind of like a redemption arc. And there's actually, I believe, a card called Path of Redemption in the set. So, but that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be donating artifacts, giving people fun toys like the Pumpkin Bomb, Buckenard's Everfull Purse, Pendant of Property or Prosperity, and then Hanging Rope. We give our opponents this stuff. They get to draw cards, make treasures, and ramp, and then it comes back to hopefully you. Actually, they can give it to other people, but it could be a very heavy political kind of strategy. For example, if someone's winning or being like the arch enemy, you know how those situations get. You can pass it to someone that you want to boost so they can contend with the arch enemy. Now, typically, the arch enemy won't look at you and try to take you out. They'll try to take the other person out. So you can have them kind of fight amongst themselves while you're getting as much benefit as you can. And then hopefully, by the time your two enemies fight it out, you can overcome the survivor. There's about 10 or so artifacts that do what we want. However, there's plenty of ways to copy them. Let's say you have your pumpkin bombs out, or you're about to cast it and you have Mirrorworks out. You cast it, ETBs triggers the Mirrorworks ability that says when another non token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay two. And if you do, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. So now you have two pumpkin bombs, or you have two purses, or two pendants, or whatever. Bang bada boom, you will be made in the shade. Everyone will have something of yours, and then you'll make ally tokens and they'll get huge. You can defend yourself, you can go aggro with it. You can do obviously an ally sub theme here. The Mycosynth Garden does something similar. You pay X, tap it. This land becomes a copy of target non token artifact you control with mana value X. And of course, you can give that to your opponent. You can give the original to your opponent. It doesn't really matter. And what kind of tea shop would we be if we made no money? Zidane, Tenacious Thief, is a 5 mana Boros legendary creature, human mutant scout. When it enters, gain control of target creature an opponent controls until end of turn. Untap it, it gains a lifelink and haste until end of turn. And whenever an opponent gains control of a permanent you create a treasure token. It's a 3/3. So, of course, we're not doing a huge theft theme in this deck. We're doing more of a we just give things away, and as we're giving it away, we'll get a treasure. So we're essentially selling food just like a tea shop. And then you can throw stuff like brand in here, homeward path. You gain control of all permanents you own. So when the game's starting coming to a close, and it's only you and an opponent, you play this, you gain control of everything you got had back, and then you use it to the best of your advantage to win the game. So, what is the future of foods in Magic the Gathering? Well, they've revealed one creature that makes foods in the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle set. It's Michelangelo the Heart. He is a 2 mana green legendary creature, Mutant Ninja Turtle. He has Trample, and at the beginning of your second main phase, if you attack this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food token. And then he has a unique partner ability. It says Partner Character Select. You can have two commanders if both have this ability. It's a 2/1. So, of course, you can kind of partner him with Donatello the Brains. It's a 3 mana blue legendary creature, Mutant Ninja Turtle. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a mutagen token is created instead as partner character select as well. And it's a 2/4. Now, the reason I chose him is because I haven't done a Simic commander in this video, but also everyone's going the 5-color route because there is a 5-color partner character select. So you could go that way if you wanted to. I think this is more interesting. Simic making tokens, it's something it does great, but this is doing it in a unique way. Mutagen tokens are pretty unique. If you didn't know, a mutagen token is an artifact token that says pay one, tap it, sacrifice this token. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. So we're doing the counter things, which Simic also does well. So it's doing what Simic does well, but adding some unique perspective to it. There's definitely going to be a food theme to this set. The freaking bundle is a pizza box with pizza. And that got me thinking, and that's why I wanted to make this deck. You thought that this was just going to be a Simic deck that made tokens and +1/+1 counter. That's not the goal of this deck. Now, the goal of this deck is I know they're going to make food tokens, particularly with slices of pizza on them. They even made lands that look absolutely disgusting. You can tell that this is almost like AI artwork or something that are pizza slices. So you know for a fact they're going to make food-based pizza tokens. Now, I am hinging the idea of this deck all on that fact. So if I'm wrong, then this deck's pretty useless. But uh don't if you're seeing this in the future and this set has come out, let me know in the comments if I totally messed this up. So I did Google this just in case. Yes, I've been eating pizza my whole life, but I wanted to make sure how many slices of pizza can we get or that we need to make an extra large pizza? And the answer is 10 to 14 slices. So the goal of this deck, of course, is to win or whatever, but it's to make 10 to 14 food tokens so we can make our own pizza in Magic the Gathering. Yeah, is it jank? Yes. Is it stupid? Okay, maybe. Okay. But it's cool. People are going to be talking, but they're like, yeah, that dude made pizza. And then I won by an infinite combo, but that person over there made pizza. It's just an interesting way. And, there are ways to win with 10 to 14 artifact tokens out. So we can still do it. We can still win with this. You can turn those tokens into 3/3 beasts and just swing out for game. Or you can play cards like Master of Ethereum that cares about having, X amount of artifacts. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of artifacts. Or you can do stuff like Rise and Shine that animates them, makes them all 0/0s, and then gives them all +4/+4 counters on it. So there are ways to win, although we're doing a very silly, very jank deck idea where we're trying to make an extra large pizza with pepperonis on it. Oh wait, is there a way to put pepperonis on it in game? Would +1/+1 counters be pepperoni? I don't know. I'll think about it. Okay, I'm literally building this one on the fly just because I saw I saw it on Scryfall because I was looking through all the food cards and I saw the turtle and I was like, what if we made a pizza in Magic the Gathering? But anyway, that's the last deck.
just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. Long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you.
Thanks so much for watching till the end of this video. Like I said, I'm thankful for you. I wanted to throw this extra, I normally don't post on Wednesdays, but I wanted to throw this extra video just for you guys for hitting that 1,000 subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, consider it if you find this information useful. Comment down below which deck on this list you would build for Thanksgiving dinner. And let me know, and I know everyone's different, what is your favorite dish in Thanksgiving? Mine is mashed potatoes. My grandma makes mashed potatoes from scratch. She does amazing. She taught me how to do it. Also, her cinnamon rolls are pretty good. They're not like the Cinnabon cinnamon rolls. They're more like a Jamaican cinnamon roll. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Comment down below which one's your favorite Thanksgiving dish. Or if you're an international viewer, tell me what you guys do. If you even have a Thanksgiving or a version of Thanksgiving in your country. Until next time, guys, I'll see you.